Very good evening, everyone, and we welcome you all for what's going to be an absolutely riveting clash from the rain-kissed expanse of Bengaluru. Well, the last few days in Bengaluru has been pretty gloomy in terms of weather, but I think to bring you the joys, we've got two heavyweights, India and Uzbekistan, the Blue Tigresses, locking horns with the White Wolves.
We have with us the chief guest for this match, Mr. Kumar, the General Secretary, KSFA.
We'll quickly have the
accompanied
national
by
anthems of the teams.
Mr. Aslam Khan, the Deputy Secretary of KSFA. They will greet the players.
Well, before the national anthem, we've got a handful of esteemed guests joining us. We'll have the customary handshakes. We'll have a moment for the players, which is going to be quite a remarkable one for everyone. I think both the teams, they have been looking for victories in the ongoing year. It hasn't been one of the most promising years for the White Wolves. 5 matches so far in 2025, and just a solitary victory, but they have rubbed shoulders with bigger teams. India, they have been off to a slightly better start.
And now the national anthem of India.
Right then, a very good afternoon, everyone, from the Garden City of India, Bengaluru, where the rain clouds have gathered, but so has the passion as Indian women take on Uzbekistan in what promises to be a compelling battle. The skies might be grey, but the energy at the stadium is anything but. The players are out, the turf is slick, and the stakes are high. Brace yourselves for 90 minutes of spirited football. And the two captains who would be out in the center for the toss. First, the match officials, Kim Woo-jeong. The referee, the two assistant referees are Yoon Yoon-hee and Lee Soo-bin. And the fourth official is Cha Min-ji. They'll play a very crucial role today in defining the fate of this fixture. the arbitrators, the customary photo ops for Uzbekistan and for India as well. It's Balasubramaniam Byapara who is the match commissioner, and that's the Indian team out there. They've got quite a few fresh faces. They've got some exciting seasoned talents as well. And the two captains make their way to the center. Leading Uzbekistan is Lyudmila Karachik. And at the other end is the seasoned custodian who's been doing phenomenally well over the last few months. And it is none other than Panto Ichanu, who will also be managing the stakes. And this is another prestigious frame for both Panto Ichanu and Lyudmila Karachik. We'll quickly introduce you all to the team lists of both the sides. I think obviously there you go, India starting 11, Panto Ichanu, their captain, and under the sticks as well, Nirmala Devi, Silky Devi, Purnima Kumari, Sangeeta Baspor, Soumya Gogolot, Sanju, Ratan Bala Devi, Dangmei Grace, Manisha Naik, Malavika P, and they are playing under the chaperonage of Crispin Chetri. And at the other end, we have also got what is a very promising bench as well. Try and show you that. It's Sweetie Devi, Pyari Kaka, Piyadarshini, Toksha Martina, Ranjana Chanu, Santosh, Lishambabina Devi, Muskan Subba, Sumati Kumari, Kiran Pista. For Uzbekistan, the starting 11, Maftuna under the sticks, Nilufar, Elvina, Diora Khan, Maftuna, Omida, Zarina, Lyudmila, their captain. That's the bench strength for you. Watch out for Madina, Nazira, Faruza, and Shonia. Also, don't miss out on Omina Khan's exceptional flair in the midfield if needed. Dilnora as well can bring the fireworks to the party. And joining me in the commentary box for the first time, it is Junaid Ahmed. A very good evening, Junaid. And what do you make of this crucial clash ahead of the upcoming important fixtures for the Blue Tigresses?
Thank you, Rohit. Always a pleasure to be alongside you in the Combox. And a very warm welcome to all the viewers tuning in. Good evening from wherever you are. Confidence is the key, is what Crispin Chetri said when they are playing against quality opponents. And it's going to be confidence, composure, and class. They'll have to muster to try and get on the better side of the result against the team from Central Asia. Go underway here. Early signs of aggression. A cut back. It's a good amalgam of experience and youth. Announced 30 years on the 19th of last month for the AFC Asian Cup. The qualifiers. And do you see have notable misses? The likes of Ashalata Devi in the Matikat Racing, not in the squad, but they do have a good mix of as well as some players who've made some really good progress, Rohit.
Absolutely goes without saying, Junaid. And on your frame, everyone attacking from the right to the left in the red threads, it is Team India. And on your frame, kicking from the left to the right in their away threads, the blues, it is Uzbekistan. And as you were saying, Junaid, that of course, a few important names missing out from the squad. Of course, the likes of Aditi Chauhan as well, the likes of Dalima Chabe, who possibly would return for the upcoming AFC Women's Asian Cup Australia 2026 qualifiers. And India is playing a flurry of impressive nations. And that is why I think Crispin Chetri made it very clear that this game, or in fact these two games against Uzbekistan, India is willing to sacrifice the results India off to a fresh start. Delivers a stunning cross out in the box there. However, there wasn't anyone looking around. Could have been a very good chance for the Blue Tigresses. A decent enough start for both the sides. Uzbekistan as well, exploring their possible opportunities at the other end. But India retaliating with every possible resource in their arsenal. Good tactical start and also going to be a corner for the hosts, Junaid.
Well, that's right, sir. It's been a decent start. Again, talking about the transition. It's a very young side looking ahead in the future. They've got players with a lot of experience in all the departments, the likes of Pantoy Chanu in between the sticks, got the services of Sanju in the back line with 50 odd games. A corner taken. And still India. Uzbekistan get the ball and launches that forward. Purnima. There's Nirmala now. Gentle tap towards Soumya Gogulut. Not allowed to turn there. Again, coming to the point that we were making a short while back, Rohit. Results is something Crispin Chetri is willing to sacrifice. The focus is on the roles and responsibilities the players, the individuals in the team would have going into the future. And that is something they want to play proper football and keep hold of the possession whenever they can, is what he mentioned.
I think it's a very intriguing, way to go about it. I think of late, if you've seen out the Indian footballers coming up, they're focused on playing from the back. That's a lovely ball forward. Could have been a threat out there for the Indian defenders. But once again, Panto Ichanu quick to get out of a line and collect the ball without much of a fuss out there. Uzbekistan, with that early element of menace, we'll take a look at what really happened. There was a fine ball and an excellent duel as well. And almost fell into the stride of Diarekon Khabibuleva, one of the most dangerous players for the Uzbeks. She can cause a lot of damage if the Indian defenders aren't paying attention, and all the way into the hands of Manto Ichanu. I think obviously her presence under the sticks is going to propel the spirits of India for sure, but then she'll also need her defenders to come together. And what I was just seeing is like under Crispin Chetri of late, India has focused on playing from the back, and playing from the back, the way it sounds, it comes in with a lot of elements that will have to be blended in the perfect proportions. And I think you need immense practice for that. I think you need to get your timing right, your passes right, the weight on the passes, the positioning of the players, and also that fearless attitude of the players to play the passes out in the defense, even when the opposition is threatening to snatch the ball away from you. So Crispin Chetri will have to get all of it incorporated in that same element so that the Blue Tigresses can actually make it work in the best possible way. And with that being said, I think he's made it very clear that he is willing to explore a lot more. He's willing to experiment.
Here's Uzbekistan now. Again, trying to build out from the back, some pressure from wide on the right. It's going to be good testing times for the back line of India. Purnima, Shilki, Sanju and Nirmala put up against the likes of Khabibuleva and scored a brilliant second half hat-trick last year. The same time last year in the first fixture, India went down 3 goals in that game. Strictly going by the results, the numbers rather, it's been all Uzbekistan off late. These two sides have seen each other off about 13 times before this one. 9 times Uzbekistan have come out victorious. In India managed one solitary victory way back in 2003.
Yeah, not one of the most pleasant rivalries for the Indian women, but again, at the end of the day, I think it's also about not just win or losses out in these friendlies. When you've got something as big as the Women's Asian Cup Australia 2026 qualifiers coming up, I think it's also important that you know how your team is prepared, because you will be facing a flurry of difficult oppositions out there. India will be playing Mongolia. That's another great chance, and once again, Panto Ichanu quick to rush out of that line of hers and prune down the angle in no time at all. Uzbekistan, they are coming forth with intent and urgency. What a lovely chance, created an excellent through ball. And Nilofar Kudratova trying to go for that 1v1 situation. She had the ball at her feet, but a slightly hefty first touch, proving to be quite a letdown for her. However, Panto Ichanu, she was also quick. The timing of that outing, that was very, very critical in that save. And at the end of the day, she's ensured the fact that India stays afloat in the game. And yes, I was talking about India's opposition out in the upcoming tournament. They are going to face Timor-Leste, Mongolia, Iraq, and Thailand. So pretty heavy lifters, pretty hard hitters in terms of women's football. How do you think, Junaid, is India lined up for a tournament like that? They've got big names, they've got experience, they've got young guns coming up. But do they have what it takes to breach down the gates of such hard hitters?
Well, I think they do, because they've been doing really well. The team is coming up to shape, and they can hold themselves. Probably see them making it through to the next stage of the competition. The qualifiers, like you said, some hard hitters, some top teams there. There's a back flick, and sees it out for a corner. Coming back to the point, they will be tested for sure, but then you've got the likes of some good names, some big names, some rising upcoming talent coming along the way. I'm pretty sure under the chaperonage of Crispin Chetri, there'll be some wonders the Blue Tigresses would come up with this time around.
Corner for Uzbekistan. We've got Zarina. Zarina whips that in. The Indian defenders repel it away. Another effort there from Uzbekistan. However, they run into a melee of Indian boots there. This is quality football from the Blue Tigresses as well. I think you need a resolute defending unit against the opposition, where you don't really have a very impressive history. To be honest, as you pointed out, Junaid, before, that India, they've just won a solitary victory. And I think you can see clearly how high pressing of a football Uzbekistan is playing. They do not want to give India any space at all. But I think the Indian defenders so far, they've come up with a solid response. Another interesting change is Soumya Gogolot. Ideally, she loves to play from the right wing, but it's not that she's entrenched out there. She's a very versatile winger as well, and she can really shuffle between the right and the left. And I think the fact that she's now operating from the left gives Crispin Chetri's team a better option as well. The speed that she's got, the hunger that she's got. And Dangmei Grace, I think she's operating from the center. Ideally, you would see Dangmei Grace operating from the wings. Another threat out there from India, but nicely seen out by Uzbekistan there. Good goalkeeping as well from Maftuna. And now the ball stays with Uzbekistan. India as well retaliating in somewhat of a similar breath, kind of making it very clear for Uzbekistan that it's not going to be an easy outing. It's not going to be a cakewalk for them. India is okay to sit back and soak in the pressure and just release it all when the iron's hot.
That's right, 12 minutes into the first half. Deadlock yet to be broken. Here's Soumya Gogolot marching forward and trying to square that in the center. And again, good defending. Here's Uzbekistan now, and trying to bring it forward. An early release there for Nilofar. Had a chance early on. The likes of Nilofar, Khabibuleva, Yudmila Karachik all have scored against India. And that is something they'll be desperate to do once again this evening.
Also, I think we should talk about the Indian Women's League that has been working tirelessly to bring out this extensive talents out there. Now the fact that if you have already seen how India's defense has been closing down all sorts of attack from Uzbekistan, that has happened only because of the extensive practice that they have managed. The 3 months of game time that they get, it really boosts out their confidence as well. And all the players out here, they were an important part of the Indian Women's League. Uzbekistan trying to penetrate from the left. Cross comes floating in. Dangers looming large on the horizon. However, once again, India, they do to repel this attack and eventually launch it out of that danger zone, compelling Uzbekistan. And just take a look at how high line of a defense Uzbekistan has deployed. India possibly planning to hit them on a counter if they are able to get their attacking unit in place. But so far, if we talk about the tactical deployment, I think Uzbekistan, they have a number over India. India will have to calm their nerves. India will have to be very, very careful about the kind of formation that they want to play. It's understandable that Uzbekistan is slightly better than them in terms of that tactical aggression. But I think the Blue Tigresses, they are responding well to the incessant belligerence of the White Wolves.
That's right, they've soaked in the pressure well in the first quarter. And coming back to the point of the IWL, some winners in this squad, like Anju Tamang, and Dangme Grace in the past, of course, and Sanju, and Odisha, as well as this year with East Bengal FC. Some pretty experienced coaches, like Crispin Chetri, Anthony Andrews. Is the winner's mentality that has been blended into the side. Is India trying to get off the blocks, taken away by Uzbekistan again. Kamil spreads it towards Nilofer far on the right. One-on-one with the full back. He tries to get the cross in. Takes the deflection and goes out.
India being very, very persistent about not letting Uzbekistan have a bit of a free hand. As you can see, Uzbekistan's coach Katrina Kulbite. Well, Uzbekistan, they might have a free go there. A shot comes floating in from Zarina. But once again, the Indian defenders find themselves in position. Now this is good, steadfast defending from India. If there's one thing that they want to make sure about, that's the underbelly. That's well protected. They want Uzbekistan to try and launch a wave of attacks, and they're going to soak it all in. Corner floated in from the left. Not the best of headers out there. Maftuna leaping to meet that with substantial force. However, the direction on the ball going astray on that occasion.
It's been a good start for both the sides. India absorbing a lot of pressure and having enjoyed a lot of possession in the first 16 minutes. And Uzbekistan on the other side has been a flurry of attacks. We've had a couple of chances.
India taking their time. Right now they are busy defending. And I think it's okay. They always say that in football, if you have a strong defense, that is when you can start building your offense as well. Because if there's one thing that you're certain of, that your defenders have got the ball in place. They have got your opposition in sight, and they know exactly what to do. Uzbekistan, however, they continue with their barrage of attacks, trying desperately to keep the ball in play. Looks like it eventually did cross the byline before she could get a second touch to get back in the field of play. Another throw in for India. For now, the first 17 minutes, of course, India, they have done well to keep the Uzbeks out of that danger third, despite the relentless pursuit. Long ranger comes in.
Both the sides on the back of defeats. India losing the last couple of games in the Pink Ladies Cup back in the UAE. And Uzbekistan went down to Zambia and China at the Yongchuan International Cup earlier last month. And something you'll want to try and get better in these couple of games. Try and get that winning momentum. We'll be hosting the Group B back in Tashkent from 23rd of June until the 5th of July.
Uzbekistan once again. They are compounding the attacks, and with every succeeding minute, they are looking a lot more threatening. Durakan laying it off to her teammate Maftuna. Maftuna plays it to her left, keeping the possession at their feet, and that has been Uzbekistan's major plan. Another long ranger floated in by their captain Lyudmila Karachik. However, once again, the shot was off the radar, and no worries at all for Pantoy Chanu. I think Uzbekistan, they have really got India on a string, and right now India is barely able to get out of their own half of theirs. There was a decent effort to try and knit it into the stride of the player on the right, however, nicely intercepted by Uzbekistan. Going to be a throw-in for the Blue Tigresses. They're taking their time. They are in no rush. And a tussle onto the right, trying to overpower the Uzbekistan defender. And eventually, at the end of the day, the last touch came off the Indian player, resulting in a goal kick for Uzbekistan. The action is coming to you live from the Padukone Dravid Center for Sports Excellence in Bengaluru, an excellent facility that has proved to be the epicenter of India's last 25-day training camp, allowing them to be equipped with some very good experience under the supervision of Crispin Chetri.
And 20 minutes into the first half. We are exactly where we started this game at. A couple of chances for Uzbekistan in the first quarter. And if you've seen Rohit, they've tried to penetrate that back line. There's a cross towards the back post. Nilofer Karachik, beg your pardon. Back with Kamila. Lobs it for Nilofer towards the far right. And square up inside the box. Takes it, turns. Back with Nilofer. Marches forward. Gets across towards the far post again. And again, decent defending. They've tried to come out and they've tried to take those long ranges a couple of times, if you've noticed, because the defense has been absolutely top-notch in the first 20-21 minutes. They haven't been penetrative. They haven't been like getting them at the back of it, and that has forced Uzbekistan to try something different, something from the distance.
Yeah, I think truth be told, if there's one thing that India hasn't really allowed Uzbekistan to do is just come in front of the goal. They haven't really allowed them the shooting space. They have jammed out that particular 6-yard box well enough. They've got their reinforcements, they've got their personnel in position, and that is very, very important for India. I think when you're trying to play out an ultra-defensive game, trying to stall Uzbekistan from getting their noses ahead in this game, it's very important that your players know what should be the necessary positions that can allow them to hold on to their own. So yes, so far the Indian defense has ensured that Uzbekistan isn't having a free pass into that box, and that is why they have been compelled to take the long ranges from distance, which has made life relatively easier for Pantoy Chanu under the sticks.
Crispin Chetri throwing a quick word. Still optimizing, making sure I guess his strategy is right. It's been a good outing so far defensively. The likes of Dangme Grace, Manisha Naik, Malvika haven't seen enough of the ball. It could just be the strategy. Sit back and try and hit Uzbekistan on the counter. And so far, so good. The head coach of Uzbekistan, Katrina Kulbayt, spoke pretty highly about the progress of the women's football in India. It's going to be a tough fight, is what she reckons, in the next two games. Is India, meanwhile, trying to bring it forward from the right. And again, taken out by the back line. Uzbekistan, meanwhile, Khabibuleva lobs that one towards Nilüfer. Sanju now. Taken away by Karachik. One-on-one with Sanju. Karachik gets the crossing towards the back post. He weighs everybody. There's Ilvina. Sweeps it at the back. Another cross inside, a header! Couldn't quite provide the finishing touch to it. Directed goalwards. It was perfectly placed, Nilüfer. India again sticking to that strategy of playing out from the back. Again, lobbing it forward with the back line. It hasn't been tested so far for Uzbekistan. Dangme Grace. A bit of Uzbekistan connection. Played for Sevinch Karshi back in 2022-23. 14 caps, scoring 4 times for the Uzbek club before returning home to join Gokulam Kerala FC. Here's Somya, who's dropped in deep. We'll have to have that link up between the midfield and those playing up the pitch. The likes of Dangme, Malvika, Manisha Naik haven't received enough of the service. Spentoy. Here's India, meanwhile. Somya Kokulat, it's a brilliant ball. Here's Dangme Grace now, one-on-one with the goalkeeper. Goes around it, but a brilliant save. Maftuna rising to the occasion. That was a brilliant delivery to cut out the entire back line. Here's Maftuna. And taken out by Ratan Baladev. Somya scans up for options and goes back towards Sanju. Doubling up on the numbers towards the left. Somya does well to get the ball away. Back with Ratan Bala. Prods it back towards Sanju. Goes all the way back towards Banthoi Chennu. A bit of confidence in the strides of the Blue Tigresses now. Here's Sanju marching forward. He's got an option towards the left, and that decision making letting her down in the end. And Manisha waiting on the left side of the pitch. There's Uzbekistan meanwhile. Again, Dangme. And trying to pick out a pass towards the right channel. 27 minutes in. Deadlock yet to be broken. And fair to say there were chances on both sides of the pitch now. And that clearly looks like the strategy. Sit back and hit Uzbekistan on the counter. And here's Nilüfer. Finds Karachik. Again, good defending, not allowing them any spaces in between the lines. Haven't enjoyed a lot of the ball. The Indian girls. There's Uzbekistan. Again, trying to up the ante from the left. Here's Karachik for Kamila. Back with Karachik. 29 minutes in, Rohit. How do you see this panning out? There have been opportunities on both sides of the pitch. Uzbekistan did have a barrage of attacks as they come inside once again. And that was flagged offside.
And truth be told, I think both the teams, Uzbekistan definitely, they have got their metal on the pedal for sure. They know that they are attacking with every possible source they've got, and they're slowly and steadily compounding that attacking intensity of theirs. But I think a very good defending from the Indian defenders. If there's one thing that the Blue Tigresses have done excellently, that's like getting their defensive reinforcements in place, and that's a lovely setup now. An opportunity for India to try and create something, a lovely forward ball. Dangmei Grace trying to create something for a team. Cross comes floating in. Had way too much sting on the ball there. That's the first good cross. That's the first good move that formed or that allowed Team India to come together and try and probe the opposition from the left. Soumya Gogolot has formally ventured from the left for sure, but then a cross like that, that is exactly why Dangmei Grace is very, very crucial to this team. She can forge these chances and also try and push the opposition to a bit of a back foot.
Here's Uzbekistan again. They've grown in confidence in the last 5-8 minutes. The Blue Tigresses. I'm seeing more of the ball. Here's Sanju. Again, waits for it. Soumya drops indeed to try and collect that. And again, doubling up on the numbers to try and not allow Soumya to get away with it. Whenever you see the likes of Sanju stepping up and linking up with those crosses, India will be a dangerous team to deal with. Here's Uzbekistan again. Playing a high line. Just dispossessed. Here's India. Activating that right channel once again. Has done well to keep the ball in play. There's Manisha Naik waiting inside the box. He's waiting for the cross, one-on-one towards the far right. And finds Ratan Bala, who whips the cross in. And routine collection for Maftuna. Here's Uzbekistan. Setting her off early. Zarina was making that run. And again, decent defending. Shilki Devi holds that one way. You can see Katrina Kulbait from the touchline. Throwing in her set of instructions towards the Uzbek girls. We'll be playing in Group B. Thailand, Mongolia.
Obviously, that's a big enough challenge for Team India. Goes without saying, and I think it's also a great opportunity as well. Because truth be told, I think it's very, very important that India get this quality practice. India get to rub shoulders with teams who are extremely high on speed and who can try and press them as hard as they can, because that is when the Indian girls, I think the fact that they are trying to play from the back, that is when the real test will start coming in. I mean, against Maldives, if you remember, Junaid, at the start of the year, they ran riot, but I don't think that was too much of a match for them. Obviously, Maldives weren't tactically as good as India is. But then now that they are facing these quality opposition, someone like Uzbekistan, I think, of course, they'll have their challenges. Soumya once again from the left. Back with Soumya. She does well to keep the ball under control. Floats it into the box there. And a definitely extended boot coming in. That could have been the opener as well, but once again, it wasn't the convincing connections that could have gotten them the goal. Excellent ball, and Dang Mei Grace. She was out there to try and make the most of it. However, Uzbekistan survives the scare.
They've come close in a couple of times. India, first one through Dangmei Grace, had a glorious opportunity. Maftuna coming to the rescue, and then this one, Somya, a very good cross, trying to find Dangmei Grace. Still got about 12 minutes left in the normal time, plus the stoppages. And coming back to the point of a couple of games against Maldives, it was a goal fest. As many as 25 goals in those two games. With a lot of newcomers coming into the side. Linda Combe starts out on the bench. And Pyari Khacha, of course, scoring a hat-trick. Linda scoring 4 in that game. But this is a different opposition. It's number 69 versus number 50 in terms of the world rankings. Uzbekistan once again. Long ball pushed forward. Can they try? There's Uzbekistan now. Gets it inside the box and scrubbed off the ground. That was a glorious opportunity. They've had a barrage of attacks in the first half. This one in India once again making sure that a clean sheet is still intact, Rohit.
It is Silky Devi once again showcasing her class out there. She ensured the fact that she was not really allowing any space whatsoever to Nilufar at all. I mean, that was a good duel for the ball. But Silky Devi, she kept her eyes on the ball, ensured that her body remains alongside Nilufar, and kind of a duel that promised so much for the Indian defenders. And once again, a very good clearance, foiling the plans of Uzbekistan. The idea that they wanted to have that 1 versus 1 situation, I think, had it not been for Nilufar, had it not been for Silky, it could have been a catastrophic situation for India. And this drinks break for these girls, of course, would allow them to regroup and reinvent themselves. Obviously, it's still a goalless affair, and I think Crispin Chetri, he's gonna take it. I mean, obviously, when you are up against a high-ranked opposition, you will have to take every small victory that you can garner from the pitch and then eventually combine them all together. There's Crispin Chetri keeping a very close eye on affairs, ensuring the fact that the Blue Tigresses know that what is expected of them. We'll start with the drop kick, and it goes all the way to Panto Ichanu, who rolls the ball in front.
That's right, and the way they have fared so far, the way they have played, they have stuck to a strategy. And again, another long ball launched forward. Cross comes in this time, and luckily it didn't fall right in front of a red shirt lurking inside the box. They've sat back, they've tried to hit them on the counter, and it has nearly paid dividends on a couple of occasions. They'll have to try and take those opportunities as and when they come India, because there's not going to be enough, or there won't be enough mistakes from India's liking that will be committed by the Uzbek girls. They'll have to try and make it count when the moment arrives. Another throw in as Kamila walks up to take this one.
Uzbekistan still outside the box there, but the Indian defenders once again proving equal to the task. Back with the Uzbeks. I think they've got a lot of space out there in the midfield as well, given the fact that the Indian defenders, they have mounted the numbers in their own half, kind of parking a bus, kind of trying to stall the Uzbek attacks. It's very, very crucial. It's very, very important for India that they throw every possible option they've got in that repertoire of theirs. Another long ball, and Panto Ichano once again, good outing, timing that to perfection, out of a line, and wrapping her gloves around the ball with consummate ease. This is indeed great goalkeeping so far. The back four combined with Panto Ichano has really shown the intent, has really shown the grit and gumption that you would expect them to show. However, when it comes to the attacking half, the attacking third, apart from Dangmei Grace and Soumya Gogolot from the left, India is still to activate all their options. Another back pass, quite a risky one, but Pantoichanu, cool, calm, composed, ensured the fact that she is showing the ball forward without any ado whatsoever. India needs to be slightly certain of that passing accuracy of theirs. Every single time that they are trying to knit it forward, Uzbekistan hasn't really allowed them that free run that they would be expecting. They haven't really allowed them the small pockets of space which they can use to try and compound. Another long ranger could have been a threat there for Uzbekistan. Maftuna, she was kind of rooted to her position. That's a quality flash there from Team India.
Much, much better. Had acres of spaces in front of her. What she had to do was try and pick out a spot, which she nearly did. It was the direction in the end that took it away. Coming back to the point of being so solid defensively in the 40 minutes, they have kept out the likes of Nilofer 30 times the national side in her 35 assists. Khabibuleva, another goal-scoring prodigy, scored 237 times in 87 appearances in the 5 years in the domestic leagues, and 32 times in 28 games. Here they come once again. This time, long ranger, more of a hope than anything else. And of course, the most experienced pro in Lyudmila Karchik. They've done well. We'll be absolutely elated with the kind of performance they've put in so far. But it's only 40 minutes, still got about the entire half to go. And that is something they'll have to keep doing.
I think they will a bit of help going forward, because like the way we said that Dangmei and Soumya has combined, they'll need something similar from Malvika and Manisha, who are operating from the right. They've been kind of silent, they've been kind of reticent, and have been outmatched for speed so far. So yes, India has got the options of Pyari Kaka as well, who's going to be coming in. They've also got in the likes of Thokchom Martina. They've got Babina Devi, who can also up the ante. Again, from the left, it's Uzbekistan. Phenomenal cross. But Pantu Ichanu standing tall, not phased at all there, collecting the ball just when it mattered the most.
Taken away by Soumya and swept out by the back line. It's Laila. They haven't been tested enough. And Soumya again driving from the left. The moment she activates that left flank, things look a bit lively from India's perspective. Crispin Chetri, always alert, always active, and throwing in those instructions time and time again.
Another big throw out there. And the referee blowing the whistle, awarding a free kick out there to Uzbekistan. Looks like someone's down in the box and will need some treatment. We'll have to close in on to understand that who's the one who's gone down. Can possibly be Sanju, not really sure, however. We'll take a look at how it all happened. I think that's a stretch. I think despite the fact that it's rained predominantly in Bengaluru in the last few days, the humidity is still out there, and that is leading to some troubles for the players. So yes, some treatment being meted out. Let's hope that she's okay. But Junaid, if truth be told, well, it's Ratan Bala Devi, the player who's gone down and who's back on her feet. That's always good to see. And yeah, now Junaid, getting back to the match, we're almost about to conclude the regulation time of the first half. How would you rate the Indian defense so far? For me, it has been absolutely mind-blowing. They have stood up to the task. But do you think it's good enough to hold on to this Uzbekistan attack that has been relentless until the very end of this game.
Well, so far so good, truth be told, like you pointed out, because they've been brilliant. They haven't allowed any space for those front forwards of Uzbekistan, the likes of Nilüfer, Khabibuleva, and Karachik. Can they hold on to the fort for another 45? That's going to be a big challenge, but they'll have to try and draw the confidence out of the first half and try and repeat that performance for the second set of 45. Here's Somya Gogol now looking up for options. Holds it back and tries to lace up with Tangme Grace. Here's Ratan Bala. Outside of the right foot, try and find Somya once again. Uzbekistan gets the ball. Here's Nilüfer trying to bring it forward. Khabibuleva finds Karachik. He's got an option towards the left. Takes a couple of touches. Gets it back towards Karachik, who goes for the goal and goes just over the target. And again, that's just going to keep coming at you every now and again. They have an opportunity, Rohit, and that back line will have to hold strong for the entirety of the game.
Yeah, Ratan Bala Devi, she came up with a bit of a lapse out there, and that is exactly what allowed Uzbekistan to have that shooting lane open. And Karachik, she was not shy to slice that volley. However, couldn't really get it on target. Had it been on target, it could have been a very stern test, a very stern pro for Pantho Ichanu. She's done well in terms of the outing, but so far, her shot-stopping abilities hasn't been questioned yet. I think, of course, she's shown that in the IWL that she can come up clutch whenever needed. Another forward ball, once again, coming out of that line of hers. A couple of minutes added on to this crucial encounter in the first half. So, yes, 120 seconds is what both the teams will still have. India, they will be hoping to keep things as it is. Of course, if possible, sneak a goal if they can. But I think so far the body language of theirs, it's been more busy, it's been more occupied with trying to keep Uzbekistan at bay. They've had their fair shares of challenges, but so far they continue to defend, they continue to keep the visitors away from the danger third. Soumya kind of slotting in all possible roles that can come to her. She's dropping down in defense as well, trying to help her team. And she's going up in attacks from the left to create those chances if needed. So she's been quite a pick of the Indian lot so far in the first 5 minutes.
That's right, and she's looked lively in the first set of 45. As tried to keep activating that left channel every time she's received the ball. And the back four have been absolutely top-notch along with Pantho Ichanu. Here's Sanju.
Another free kick for Team India. I think it goes without saying that Team India, they are desperate to go for those long balls as well. That's another long free kick that was being whipped forward. We are in the last minute of the first half, and so far, India continues to deliver what's expected of them, keep the opposition at bay, repel them over and over again, not let them come close enough to that scoring field. I think during the halftime, Crispin Chetri, he'll like to get back to the drawing board a bit. And with this, we come to the end of the first half. Kim Yoo-jeong has blown the whistle. And so far, an entertaining first half, one would say. Of course, in terms of attacking intent, Uzbekistan, they have got their noses ahead. But again, it's not the attacking intent that wins you a game. It's goals and keeping the far sight in vision. I think India so far has proven to be a pretty equal match to their higher ranked counterparts in the FIFA rankings. Uzbekistan, they might have had an excellent attacking display, but when it comes to the defensive front, I think India will definitely take the cake home. However, 45 minutes still remain, 45 minutes of intense action to follow suit, and a lot can happen over 45 minutes, a lot can transpire, and India will have to prove themselves equal to this task of keeping Uzbekistan at bay over and over again. But for now, the halftime scoreline, it's India 0, Uzbekistan 0. Looking forward to the upcoming 45 minutes. We'll quickly take a look at the highlights, Junaid.
Right, two friendlies between India and Uzbekistan. An opportunity for both the teams to optimize themselves before they head towards the AFC Asian Women's Cup. This was a glorious moment. Nulifer couldn't quite wrap her laces behind that one. It was a delightful ball. And just before she could get to the end of it in a much better way, Pantwai Chanu does the rest. Another opportunity, another ball floated inside the box. And this was the moment, the first of the two bright moments India have conjured in the first set of 45. And that was swiftly followed by another opportunity. And then on the other end, Kubebuleva, Ratan Bala fancying a shot from the distance. Karachik had an option to try and convert. It was the attacking prowess of Uzbekistan put up against the resilience of India. And here's how the halftime stats look like. 52% of the ball to Uzbekistan, 48% to India, almost even Stevens in terms of ball possession. 8 shots with 3 landing on target for the visitors, 4 shots with 2 on target, and 2 saves on either side. 2 corners to Uzbekistan, 1 to India. 3 fouls committed by the Blue Tigresses as compared to 2 by Uzbekistan, and no cars in the game so far. So that's the halftime stats. It's going to be an intriguing second set of 45 coming our way in about a few minutes from now. Do stay with us for the live action to continue.
Pyari Khaka. She is taking the place of Manisha Naik for India, and Uzbekistan as well has decided to bring on a change. They have got the likes of Faruza Turdibova, who's made her way to the center. So both the teams with a change each in order to try and combat each other, in order to try and get the best out of this encounter. The first half was an excellent contest of technical brilliance. The second half, let's see if we witness an identical intensity. And yes, that's a confirmation. Faruza going in, Zarina Mamatkarova going out. And once again, joining me in the commentary box is Junaid Ahmed. Welcome back, Junaid, and a very good evening once again.
Well, thank you, Rohit. Good evening to you and to all the viewers who have tuned in, all the fans, as we go underway for the second time this evening. Going from left to right on your screens are the Blue Tigresses. It's a good move to get Pyari Khaka for the entirety of the second set of 45. We all have seen in the past, whether it's with the national side or at the RWL, the goal-scoring prowess she has. And that is something Crispin Chetri would be eyeing for. They have sat back, have soaked in the pressure, a barrage of attacks that they were put up against in the first set of 45. A long ball push forward, Pantoi Chanu does well, read that beautifully, came off her line and got the clearance away. How do you see that move with the start of the second half, Rohit, with Pyari Khaka being introduced?
We'll get back to that for now. Uzbekistan, they continue to drive that attacking canvas of theirs in front, and India really under the pump out here. So far, they've done well to keep Uzbekistan off that shooting lane. However, how long can they hold? An attack from the left. Cross comes in, a bit of deflection. Takes an elevated trajectory. Uzbekistan looking for that shooting lane. Here's the substitute who came on, Faruza. She decided to switch it to the right. Another cross in the box there. Pantoi quick to get out of that line and punch it away. Danger's not over. Faruza still stays on the ball. Another shot, this time through the center field. However, it had quite an elevation, and that is what will allow Pantoi Chanu to breathe a sigh of reprieve altogether. This was another great move by Uzbekistan. Faruza timely knitting it towards her right there, and Maftuna trying her luck from range. The ball kind of ballooning, had a bit of a dip to it as well, but not enough to try and trouble the Indian team. And you're getting back to your question. I think the inclusion of Pyari Khaka, Junaid, it's to try and activate that right wing, because as we said this in the first half, India had their fair shares of chances from the left, but from the right, Manisha, she couldn't really come up with the kind of intensity, with the kind of urgency that India would have been anticipating, and hence Pyari Khaka comes into the mix, hoping to up the ante from the right as well. India now making an effort to try and utilize both the wings and trouble Uzbekistan as much as possible.
It's going to be a free kick. Pyari Khaka dropping in deep. And the idea is to try and get both flanks activated. Here's Uzbekistan not holding on to the possession, but swiftly managing to win it back and playing those short, quick passes. And here they come once again. He's got some space in front of her, plays it down the line. India defending in numbers, keeping Uzbekistan held up in their tracks. Switch towards the left. Here's Sangeeta, scanning up for the right possible option. Again, given away far too easily. Here's Uzbekistan. Meanwhile, looks up. Goes a long ball. This could be dangerous across. Not quite sure if the intent was to get the cross or try and test out Pantani Chenu from that sort of an angle. In the end, neither of the two.
I think it can possibly be to try and throw Panto Ichano. I mean, as I said before, Panto Ichano has been time and time again being summoned to come out of that line of hers. The sweeping capability that she has exhibited until now, I think it's absolutely brilliant. But again, that shooting prowess of hers, that's still to find the light of the day. I mean, that shot stopping prowess of her, rather, it's still to see the light of the day. And that is why I think Uzbekistan, they wanted to use that right wing, another long ball being attempted, but very easily pushed away by the Uzbekistan defense. India, they need to have that penetrating flair of theirs as well. I think it's going to be very, very important for them to threaten Uzbekistan, because unless they have that penetrative prowess, unless they have got the necessary resources to try and reach the Indian defenses, policies, the Uzbekistan defenses, I think all the hard work that their defenders have put in, it somewhat gets nullified. I mean, obviously, India will be happy to snatch a point, to snatch a draw from this encounter, but a victory, it makes it sweet and it gives them a boatload of confidence, particularly ahead of the Asian qualifiers.
That's right. And 3 draws is what these sides have managed in their 13 tussles in the history. Uzbekistan being victorious on 9 occasions, and India winning way back in 2003. Could today be the day? And so far, so good. They haven't conceded. And on the flip side, they haven't scored as well. Had a couple of chances in the first half. The defense has been absolutely brilliant. And can they hold on to this? Is a big question. There's Uzbekistan again. Gets dispossessed. Here's Pyari Khacha into the act and plays it back towards Dangmei. Enjoying a bit more of the ball with the start of the second half. Blue Tigresses is Malvika, is operating from the left. Ratanbala goes back. Gentle prod towards the center, towards Sangeeta. And push forward. And gets it further up the pitch and concedes the possession. A lot of space ahead of her. Here's Elvina. Back with Elvina again. And plays it towards. Not quite sure if they were on the same page. In the end, the communication not turning up in their favor. And it's going to be a goal kick.
If you take a look at the last couple of games that Uzbekistan has played, they've had their fair shares of challenges against China and Zambia. I think also against Korea, they couldn't really make the most out of the game that they played. So one of the primary reasons why is that they lack that shooting intent. Dang Mei Grace through the center, does well to control the ball and eventually push it towards the right. She's got options. And India now slowly and steadily creating those small pockets of space out there, which can allow them to express themselves better, allow them to try and question a long floater from distance. And the Maftuna, she wasn't in harm's way. The ball had ample elevation. The dip was there for sure, but obviously it needed far more than a gentle dip to try and probe the Uzbekistan custodian. And yes, getting back to what India's position has been in the second half, I'm pretty sure Crispin Chetri, he must have gone on to the drawing board, must have explained that how India, they have allowed the ball to be with Uzbekistan for a longer point in time. And in the second half, if you take a look, India is looking a lot more composed. India's temperament has been very, very crucial. And now the fact that they are rolling the ball along the carpet, that's incredible to watch. Pyari Khaka looking for that shooting lane out there. Dang Mei Gray sets it up. for the player coming all the way from the back. It was Sanju trying to take a shy at goal. However, got underneath the ball and the ball ballooned out of the park.
It's very nicely put up there, Rohit, because the intensity has been right up there with the start of the second half. Seeing more of the ball rolling it along the carpet, and you can see they are trying to up the ante and trying with the high press towards the left and right. Hung up in the air. And taking the possession, here's Ratan Bala. Managed to keep the possession. Can they try and bring it forward? And Ratan Bala again, and dropped in deep. And deciding to go all the way back towards Panthoi Chen, who was the best possible option. Here's Nirmala Devi. Guest is possessed. Some space to work with now for Uzbekistan. Decent ball and a very timely interception. That has been the order of the day for the Indian girls. Defensively, they have been right on top of their game.
This is what experience does to you, Junaid. I mean, the more experience you have got in the ranks, the more matches you play is, the more versatile you are, the more knowledge you garner. I think the likes of Shilki Devi marshalling her troops alongside Purnima Kumari and Sanju and Nirmala Devi, all of them, the kind of intent that they have shown in the defense, they haven't really allowed an inch altogether to Uzbekistan. This hasn't been one of those blatant capitulations. I think over the last few years, India hasn't really made much grounds against Uzbekistan. But today's defense, it's a different gravy altogether. A cross comes floating in. This can be an opening. And we were talking about the Indian defense. Looks like it has finally come undone as Uzbekistan have got their noses ahead in this crucial encounter. Time and time again, the crosses were floating in.
Jersey number 10.
And this cross has proved to be the unraveling of what has been a resolute enterprise from India. A fine delivery. There wasn't anyone marking the attacker. And the repercussion, India concedes in the 56th minute. And now the task gets a lot more difficult for them. Yes, it goes without saying that they'll have to keep their eyes on the game, their eyes on the ball, but now with the goal down, I think they will be splintered. They will be torn between two mindsets, whether to equalize or to continue with the kind of ball that they just started playing in the second half. From the back, small controlled passes, and eventually forming a unit that can drown the opposition. It was Durakhon Khabibuleva, the ace attacker of Uzbekistan, who's gotten a name on the score sheet.
Well, that was written on the cards with the barrage of attacks we've seen in the first set of 45. And even with the start of the second half, there was relentless pressure on that back line. And to be fair, they fared really well in the first half. It was always going to be tough with the kind of quality Uzbekistan have in the front three. This could be another opening. Takes a shot from outside and a brilliant save from Panthoi Chanu. She has been absolutely top-notch right throughout this evening. And opened up pretty nicely for Elvina. Had some space to work with. Gets it away from the defense. And takes it on the right and launches that one. That was going in for all money. India, can they try and bring it towards the other side of the pitch? And Soumya Gogolot has been the bright light so far. She'll have to have support from the other flank as well. Here's Uzbekistan. Meanwhile, again, Alvina venturing forward. Looks for options. Decides to go towards the right. Good defensive work. Sangeeta Basfor backtracking, helping out the defense. Here's Sanju. Can she try and bring it towards the other side? Sanju trying to link up with Soumya, who looks up and gets a long ball. Pyari wants to try and get Pyari Khakha into the mix, but overhits it straight towards Maftoona.
Junaid, I think these upcoming 5 minutes, it's going to be the upcoming 5 to 10 minutes, it's going to be very, very critical for India. I think when you concede a goal, a lot of things go downtown for you. And I think the first and foremost thing, particularly in a game which is as closely as matched as this in terms of tactical flair, once again, Uzbekistan trying to use that right wing. They've got space ahead of themselves. Goes for that cross again. Opportunity. Danger looming large in Pantoichanu. She'll consider herself lucky. There wasn't the best of shots that Uzbekistan could come up with. With every succeeding minute, Uzbekistan is now compounding that attacking quotient to theirs. India needs to be very, very careful. They'll have to understand that the strategy that they utilized in the second half at the start, it is okay. And the fact that they have conceded a goal shouldn't compel them into an immediate change. If Crispin Chetri sticks to his words, what he said ahead of the game, that he's willing to sacrifice the results for the development, I think what India should focus on right now is coming together, play that same brand of football. I think just a few moments ago, the way Soumya Gogolon went for that long ball, there wasn't any Indian player in the opposition box to try and latch on to it. So those kind of long balls, it would make no sense. On the contrary, if India focuses on keeping the possession with themselves, if India focuses on trying to keep Uzbekistan away from that own half of theirs, I think it will be a lot better approach, because in that way India will have a clarity that yes, this is what they want to do. But right now it feels like India, they are like, as I said after the goal, they can be tattered between a couple of minds. One of them would think that yes, right now restoring parity at the earliest is what should be the need of the hour, which should be the need of the hour, of course. But at the same time, restoring parity doesn't mean that you get desperate to such an extent that you will have to throw in everything in your arsenal at your opposition off the bat.
That's right. And composure is the word that I'll choose here. And try and be composed. You've done well for a good part of an hour. And just try and hang in there. Don't be knackered. Don't get knackered. Let's try and be in the game. Here's Soumya trying to venture from a weird angle and gets dispossessed. And here's Uzbekistan now. A lot of space to work with. You see a tidal wave of blue shirts marching forward. Here's Elvina trying to pick out a pass. Goes sideways. A long ball launched forward once again. Pantoi Chanu off her line and does well to keep it out. Nilofer trying to win back. Here's the head coach, Katrina Kulbait of Uzbekistan. Had really good words for the progress, the development of the game in India for the women's football. She sees these two games to be a tough competition. And her counterpart on the other side, the Indian bench, again hustling for the ball. Uzbekistan gets dispossessed, launched back. And then coming back to your point, Rohit, they'll have to try and stick to the strategy that they have deployed in the first half. Don't get knackered, don't get bogged down by the scoreline. Yes, getting a goal back would be their main priority at this point in time, and that should be. Then if you are looking for the development, trying and getting those roles and responsibilities for the players, then stick to the same template that you have followed so far.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the template should not be changed just because you've conceded a goal. Yes, understandable that you would like to score the equalizer at the earliest, but I think what's very, very important for a team like India, who's got an even sterner challenge coming up in the next month, I think they should be focused on creating this formation. That's a good ball towards the right. Malavika B. She's trying to outspeed her marker, but she'll have to know her strengths and weaknesses. And I think that's a very good decision. She decided to quickly twist and get the ball back. Nirmala Devi has also been a crucial weapon in IWL for her team, all the way back to Panto Chanu. Chanu takes her time. Now, if you take a look after the goal, Uzbekistan, they are withdrawing numbers. Yari Kaka had a bit of a hit on the back of the head, and she was way consumed by that. Another long ball. The flag has stayed down, but finally it goes up, flagging offside. So Uzbekistan, the joy that they were expecting going forward, that has been snuffed down in its roots. India Still desperate to get that equalizer, Uzbekistan. They are hoping that they can get that insurance goal as well. The floodlights coming on. It's getting slightly darker in the Garden City of India. Let's see if the introduction of floodlights can bring about a change of fortunes for the Blue Tigresses.
Talking about the backline, Purnima Kumari with 3 caps. Nirmala Devi with 3 caps as well. Sanju with 57 and Shilki with 19. So he's definitely trying to make it a point to try and get the game time, building a team for the future. As a team in transition, a lot of young players into the mix. Here's Uzbekistan once again. There's Alvina. And cuts it back on the right. This could be dangerous. Makes some space for herself and shoots. Another brilliant save from Pantoi Chenu. It looked like for a moment that was going in for all money. As easy as you like. A couple of balls launched forward, and then the defense. A lot of questions are being asked in the last 5-6 minutes, Rohit.
Yeah, I think ever since the goal has been conceded by India, it's playing with the minds of the Indian defenders. But if there's someone who stood tall, I think even if you hurl a meteorite at her, she will still stand tall and deflect it. That is how good Pantui Chanu has been. Nilufar Kudratova with that corner. Another test for Pantui Chanu, another test for the Indian rearguard. Let's see if they can stall it. The ball floated into the blend out there, not the best of headers. Pantui out of a line and eventually palms it away. Looks like the final touch came off an Uzbekistan player, and Pantui Chanu, she will be breathing a massive sigh of reprieve. What an incredible outing this has been for Pantui Chanu. I think spare a thought for her that she conceded, but once again, as they say, that even if you've got a titan under the sticks, unless your entire team chimes in together, football being a team game, being a game where collaboration is the utmost need of the hour, I think all the hard work that you pull off, it goes down the drain. So yes, kudos to Pantui Chanu for the crucial saves that she has pulled off, particularly in the last 10 minutes. I think she has also shown that she is an equally eminent shot stopper, like the way she is a sweeper keeper in the box. An opportunity for India, another long ball towards the far right. They've got an option out there, Malvika. She does well to be at the receiving end of the ball. She's scanning the perimeter for more resources. Can she get the help that she's looking forward to? She does. Nirmala. Nirmala goes for that crossfield ball. A bit of an emasculated header from Pyari Kaka all the way to Maftuna under the sticks.
You'll have to try and get the likes of Pyari Kaka on the ball. I'm not quite sure who's stayed down on the ground post that play. And medical assistance has been called for. It's been a good game. Was even Stevens at the halfway mark, and then Uzbekistan finding a breakthrough in the second set of 45. Katrina Kulbait there having a word with Firuza. Gives an opportunity for a bit of a breather and a quick drinks break.
Obviously, I think it goes without saying that Uzbekistan have done a pretty decent job so far. They have ensured the fact that they have always kept India under the pump, and that persistence, that relentless pursuit of the goal is what has gotten them that all important opener. But I think India, yes, they were shaky. They were shaky right after they conceded the goal, but now their attacking unit as well, led by Pyari Kaka, it's kind of coming together. Obviously, the likes of Bhavina Devi still out there on the bench. It's going to be interesting to see when does Crispin Chetri gets Bhavina on, because the inclusion of Bhavina Devi can actually enhance the attacking flair of the Indian unit. So yes, too many questions that are being asked. But one of the most important questions right now for India is that they will need a holding midfielder as well. I think there's a massive gap between that midfield and or rather between the defense and that attacking unit of theirs. So they need a bit of a bridge. They need someone who can actually step up and bridge the gap, who can step up and eventually provide the all important reliability out in the center, play that fulcrum, play that nexus of the midfield. It's understandable India is missing out on quite a few names that they would have loved to have in this unit. But I think at times in an international enterprise, what's very, very important is that you make the most of whatsoever resources are available for you.
Here's Uzbekistan once again. They have all the flanks activated. Every time they come forward with purpose. They try and test that back line as well as the keeper. Here's Maftuna. Gentle push towards the left, trying to link up with Elvina. Back with Maftuna. Gets himself into a shooting position and unleashes another shot. That goes wide of the target this time. Coming back to the point of some of the players sitting out on the bench. They've got the likes of Sweetie Devi. With a lot of experience. 62 caps under her belt. Will she be drafted into the mix for the last quarter is a question, or is he going to try and stick to what they've started with, continue with Nirmala Devi, Purnima, Sanju and Shilki. Taken away again. Here's Maftuna once again, some space ahead. Lofts it over and straight towards Panthoi Chenu this time. Every time they try and pick out a pass or march forward, they have a story to tell, Rohit.
Absolutely. And I think a few moments ago you asked the question whether we will see Sweetie Devi. What I believe is, unless there's an injury, I don't think Crispin is planning to draft Sweetie Devi into the mix, because right now what he's looking forward to is more attacking urgency, is more attacking hunger. So yes, I think he would be looking forward to the midfielders. That's a good ball there. Malavika from the right delivers a lovely ball, a chance for Pyari Khaka, and a stern test for Maftuna has been braved. That's the intent that we were talking about. Incredible shy at goal there. A full-fledged dive from Maftuna. And she's ensured the fact that she's responded in equal measures to Pyari Khaka. That's the football that we have been so much longing to see ever since the start of this game.
Well, much better from India, showing their attacking prowess this time. Pyari Khaka trying to pick out a spot there. Maftuna equal to the task. Here's Uzbekistan on the other side, trying to activate that right channel once again. Here's Maftuna Shoimova. Firuza looks up for an option and finds Umida. Umida continues with a run under pressure. And that has been given as a foul and a free kick. Definitely in the range for the likes of Firoza or Elvina. Shove maybe. Not quite sure if there was enough contact there.
India now coming up with a couple of changes out here. Priyadarshini coming on and Sumati Kumari as well. So yes, they are trading in attackers. I think Crispin Chetri, he's made it very, very clear. India wants to go for the offensive. Yes, there have been a few hiccups. And Priyadarshini, she will have a task cut out because she's replacing a big name on the list now there, Dangmei Grace. And Malavika as well. She's going to be out of the equation now. However, right now it's going to be a challenge for the Indian defensive unit. Uzbekistan, they've got their captain Karachik. Lyudmila Karachik, she's got a preceding reputation of those long rangers. Calls one in. Pantoi Chanu trades it away at the earliest. However, danger still lingers on. Ball inside the box, a bit of a push The referee says that wasn't substantial enough for her to point to the dreaded spot. Uzbekistan now focusing on possession. Another lovely delivery in the mix. However, the final header that could have been influential enough to try and make Pantoichanu go for that full-fledged dive, but that wasn't the case. It was a bit of an emasculated hit, and India survives the scare once again.
Now the blue shirt down, and looks like has been shown a caution there. Get the confirmation of that yellow card in a bit. Coming back to the point of Pantoichanu, has been absolutely top notch. Had it not been for her, that scoreline could have been slightly different. Camilla is back on her feet. Another change, this time Uzbekistan. Dilnura is going to come on, and she replaces the skipper, Yudmila Karachik. Has had a decent game. Yudmila has scored 7 times against India in the past. Was definitely looking for her 8. Nearly got there. Here's Uzbekistan once again, trying to play out from the back. Here's Umida. Umida scanning up for options, doesn't find one. Goes with a cross pass. Ratan Bala gets the possession back. Here's Sanju. And she try and push forward, doubling or tripling up on the numbers, and eventually gets the ball back. Uzbekistan. Here's Feruza, and trying to pick out a pass from wide on the left. Here's Nilofer, and good defending. And comes out with the ball, with the free kick rather.
India needs to keep an eye out. I mean, what Uzbekistan is doing is when they are starting from the back, if you take a look at the tempo of theirs, they're very slow, they're very well connected, and they're very calm on the ball. But then suddenly they are getting that explosive acceleration right in front of that India box, and by the time the Indian defenders are catching an air of the same, I think they are kind of lagging. And that is what is complicating affair for Pantoichanu. Now a bit of a lovely run from the right, a tussle for the ball. Goes all the way to the Uzbekistan goalkeeper and Maftuna. She didn't want to take any risk at all. She's propelled it forward. Duel for the ball, and that has been finally won by Uzbekistan. They wanted to knit another ball into the galloping stride of one of their marauders from the right. Not to be Nirmala Devi, pushes it back. India, they are having their challenges every single time. Uzbekistan is out on the hunt. Yes, that defensive line of theirs have hold strong, but they'll also have to understand that kind of space that Uzbekistan is creating time and time again is kind of compounding their troubles, and India wouldn't want that. Throw in for Uzbekistan. It's Umida who gets the throw in. Once again, defended well by India. The ball pinballs into each other. And finally, Durakan Kabibuleva trying to free her boots there. Goes for that shot. But that ball would definitely be found in the firmament. Another goal kick for India. And they gets the ball rolling.
Coming back to the point that you were making, they've been allowed a lot of time and space on the ball in the second half especially, and have a bit more shots taken towards the target. Here's Sanju meanwhile, and again trying to go back under pressure from Nilofer, and finds Pantoichanu. Swift start towards Nirmala, and somehow managed to keep the possession. And Soumya pushes it back towards Nirmala. Here's Purnima. Again, trying to play out from the back. The Blue Tigresses still hungry for that insurance goal. They want to make sure they score the second one and try to take this game far and far away from India's reach. And they've come close not close enough. All thanks to Pantoichenu's brilliance. Can they try and find an answer on the other side of the pitch? Try and get this game back to parity.
Junaid, the absence of Bala Devi has been one of the key troubling factors to the Indian women out here. If you take a look, the way Pyari Khaka is playing, I think she's got a lot of ground to cover. That's because she has been deployed as the solitary forward. Another lovely ball to the left, and Uzbekistan might just have an opening. They're looking to open up that shooting lane, but India, that's a very good response out there. Quickly closing down the alley, not allowing Uzbekistan the freebie that they were looking forward to. And yes, getting back to that India's attacking unit, I think the absence of Bala Devi is what has really left Pyari Zaza, or rather Pyari Khaka, apologies, stranded. I think, yes, she's covering a lot of ground, but as a footballer, when you start covering a lot of ground and you barely get any support whatsoever from your teammates, when you are hunting for that all important equalizer, then you start asking the questions. You can see Crispin Chetri is not really happy with the release of the ball in all likelihood. So India also will have to focus on the options that they will have when they go for the Asian qualifiers, because there they won't get the chance to experiment. There they won't get the chance to try and showcase their skill. It's going to be very little room for error. Free kick. Pyari Kaka has been clipped from the back, and the referee quickly blowing the whistle, laying down the law, awarding a free kick to the Blue Tigresses.
Still got about 9 minutes plus the stoppages to follow. Will we see a repost coming in these regulation 9 minutes? Ratan Bala Devi stands behind this one. Lost that one. And routine save in the end for Maftuna, who swiftly starts this counter attack. Maftuna laying in towards Nilofer. That's been given as a corner. Another opportunity for Uzbekistan and put some pressure on that back line. They've been relentless in terms of their attacking threat. The likes of Khabibuleva, Nilofer, Karachik, of course, has been taken out. The likes of Maftuna, Firoza have enjoyed their run as well, and through the center and, of course, from the left channel. Can they try and get one quality ball to try and get that insurance goal? Firoza on top of her mark. Signals that to her teammates. Here goes Firoza. Lost that one. Hera. And an easy clearance. Can we try and break it towards the other side of the pitch? India marching forward. Has got an option towards the far right. And brilliant tackle. Gets the ball away far too easily.
I think India, what they're not doing out here is they're not really reading the line, the opposition's key strength. And I think if Uzbekistan has time and time again done better than India, that's their speed out there. So going for the counter, I think obviously it's a very wise choice, but at the same time, you will have to read the room. You need to understand where your players are before you can actually deploy the counter attack. Going on a 1v1 tussle out in the center, playing all the way from the back, won't really get you that position that you're looking forward to. Another lovely ball into the box, floated in there by Soumya Gogolok. And the fact that she has been deployed onto the right wing in the second half, you can very clearly see how comfortable she is. She's now a lot more confident in terms of going forward with the ball, in terms of creating those chances, because that's a natural position. So yes, that switch was being deployed by Crispin Chetri after that half time, and I think it has worked so far. But again, when it comes to getting something concrete, getting something out of this entire shift, that is still to be witnessed. Nilofar from the left, another cross, and Panto Ichano once again showing that why she is being rated so highly in the Indian women's excellence, one of the top contenders. And ever since IWL 2024-25 has taken flight, she continues to be an unbreachable wall under the sticks altogether.
IWL champion this year, Pantoychen, with East Bengal FC. 19 caps, 19 India caps to her name. Has been on top-notch form ever since. Here's India. And again, trying to keep the possession. About 5 minutes left for a response, plus the stoppages. Can they try and get this game back to level terms? Showing some sense of urgency. Gets dispossessed. Here's Firuza trying to chip one over. India get the ball and gets dispossessed. The woman pretty patient on the ball, pretty composed. The girls in blue. Here's Umida. Plays it down the line, opens up the left flank again. Nilofer looks up for options, decides to go back and finds Firoza. Chips one over. Here's Umida. Close down. He's got some space to work with. Decides to take it in the right and unleashes a shot towards the target. Goes well over. And again, doing with utmost ease. Uzbekistan, every time they get themselves on the ball, there is a flair with which they operate, especially in the final third.
Yeah, I think Uzbekistan, they've done everything so far and they've done it right. Apart from that one thing, that's get into that 6-yard box. I think in the first half they did try their luck from coming close. That's a fine forward release. And now Soumya Gugulon, she's made her way forward. Soumya Gugulon, she was voted as the Women's Player of the Year in the recent Indian Football Awards 2025. Pyari Khaka, can she open up that shooting lane? Does take one on the turn, lost her shape in the process. And eventually, at the end of the day, a free kick has been awarded to Uzbekistan. Well, so far, India, they have responded more in isolated bursts of brilliance. The coordination that we talk about, the chemistry, the orchestration of all those attacks coming together as a result of team efforts, that hasn't been the case for the Blue Tigresses. The White Wolves, on the contrary, they have time and time again ventured into the Indian attack with one sortie after the other. And had it not been for Pantu Ichanu, like you pointed out a few moments ago, Junaid, I think the scorecard could have been diametrically different. India could have already conceded 3 to 4 goals by now. So yes, Christine Chetri will have lots to work upon when it comes to the rear guard. I think in the first half they were pretty compact, but in the second half there were visible chinks in the armor, and Uzbekistan managed to sneak one through. So yes, there's work to be done, and they will have some time. They'll have 3 days before they play the next game against the same opposition at the same venue. Right now, as things stand, India continues to fight and continues to look for that all-important equalizer.
Tried a couple of changes. Sweetie Devi is going to come on in place of Purnima. Get confirmation on all the changes that have taken place. There's Kiran Pista as well. Sangeeta Basfor has given her place to Babina Devi and try and get some game time. The notable difference is a young backline, keeping the scoreline to 1-0 for so long. I'm pretty sure he's going to take a lot of positives from this game as well, despite the result. And there's still time to try and get that equalizer. Be absolutely ecstatic if they get there. But at the moment, Uzbekistan are not allowing even a sniff. Long ball forward for Habibullah. Gets dispossessed, unleashes the shot towards the target. Oh my word! That was absolutely top-notch from Firoza. just manages to escape again. Space to work with in front of her. And they've tried those long ranges on a couple of occasions, Uzbekistan, and this one has come the absolute closest. Panthoi Chenu was beaten all ends up there, Rohit.
Absolutely, Janae, the cracker of a shot there. And Panto Chano, she was being put to a stern test, and obviously she did go for that full-fledged dive once again, hoping to keep the bases checked. If the ball had more dip than that, an excellent, a valiant enterprise. Another long ball. This might be trouble brewing on the horizon for the Blue Tigresses. From the right, looking for more options. Not the best of balls, and eventually India will manage to secure a goal kick. It's getting a bit too tense out there, a bit too hot in the Indian half, and they really need to get hold of their reins. And now Uzbekistan, they're coming up with a couple of changes as well. They want the likes of Diora Bakhtiarova making her way to the center. Also, Ominakon Valikanova, who will be stepping in. And 3 minutes of additional time is what has been granted to what has been a pretty decent game. And as you were saying a few moments ago, Junaid, I think the fact that India has managed to keep things to 1-0, obviously they've got an experienced Pantu Ichano under the sticks. But I think also kudos to the young defense, like you pointed. I mean, echoing your words and adding on to it, kind of temperament that they have shown. They haven't really wilted, they haven't really crumpled under the pressure. They have fought and they have fought. And I think that kind of a mindset, a warrior's mindset, is what you can always expect from the Blue Tigresses. And Crispin Chetri will definitely acknowledge it. Another chance out there. Once again, things getting really hot in there. And the consequent shot there from the incoming Ominakon Valikanova that had a lot more elevation to it, and eventually coming to the deliverance of the Indian team. Or else it could have been that all important, all elusive insurance strike that Uzbekistan has been scurrying for.
Yeah, that could have been a very good introduction for Homina Khan. Still with ball. Uzbekistan. India. Desperate to see out the last 90 seconds left in the added on time. It's going to be a good result for Uzbekistan on the back of 2 defeats in China against 2 quality opponents in China as well as Zambia. They will be heading to Tashkent after these 2 friendlies for the start of the AFC Asian Cup qualifiers. Slotted in Group F, the host of that group will play against Sri Lanka, Laos, and Nepal on the 29th June, 2nd July, as well as the 5th July. So victory for them would definitely give them some confidence going into the rest of the year. It hasn't been the happiest of times for them in 2025. Just 1 win against Jordan in the Pink Ladies Cup.
Run a forward ball there, and eventually India failing to max out its potential, and which would result in a goal kick. No rush at all for Maftuna. She knows that she would love to steal away a few crucial seconds. A 1-goal cushion, no matter how good of a side you are, it can always be edgy and dodgy and nervy. So, of course, you would like to see it off. I think there are extra time that was granted. It's already over. So, in a few more seconds, the referee will let us know that we can draw the curtains. But India might just have a last roll of the dice. Wanted to have a shy at goal once again from the yonder, and did try and test out the solidity of Maftuna. And eventually, at the end of the day, as the final whistle is being blown by Kim Yoo Jeong, India will have to walk empty-handed from this friendly. Uzbekistan secures a crucial and a thrilling win thanks to Diarakon Khabibuleva, who's got the solitary strike that made all the difference out there. These two sides will once again be colliding 3 days later at the same venue. But truth be told, India, they fought with every single weapon in their arsenal. Uzbekistan, they tried every option that they had in their repertoire. And at the end of the day, it was Durakan's strike that was the solitary difference between two sides who are looking for further glory.
And played with all the heart. And the Indian girls, pretty young side, pretty young backline as well. The team in transition, a lot of senior players missing out. Had maintained the clean sheet intact for most parts of the game. And then it was the brilliance of the Uzbek girls. Khabibuleva managed her fourth goal against India. Last time Uzbekistan did manage to win the game, it was her brilliant hat-trick. So that's the full-time scoreline here in Bengaluru. India 0, Uzbekistan 1.
Obviously, Crispin Chetri will have a lot to look forward to when he goes back to that drawing board. And that's a quick look at the highlights here. Of course, Uzbekistan, they were the ones pulling the strings early on. And this was how the second half panned out. Panto Ichanu, she had a test. This is how it all started for that goal. A lovely ball from the left. The defense of India was caught napping. There wasn't any response. One shy, one crack at goal. And Uzbekistan ensured that they are taking it. And then a couple of brilliant saves from Pantu Ichanu, denying Uzbekistan what could have been insurance strikes 2, 3, and 4. Yari Kaka did try her luck from range, and couldn't really breach the defenses.
From the free kick, had decent opportunities. Karikic set off early. And Firoza did fancy a few long balls towards Nilofer wide on the left. This could have been utterly dangerous as well. But Pantoy Chenu being heaping praises right throughout the game. And she's been that good. And had it not been for her, that scoreline could have been telling a completely different story. And this was a shot just before the full-time whistle. And
of course, apologies for that, Junaid. Of course, a lot to look forward to. A quick look at the numbers. 46% ball possession for India, 54 for Uzbekistan. The shots unloaded, obviously, Uzbekistan, they've got a number on India, 20. 9 of them were on target. India had 8 shots, which is decent enough. 5 of them were on target. 5 saves by both the goalkeepers. 1 corner for India, 4 of them for Uzbekistan. 7 fouls committed by India, 4 committed by Uzbekistan. And just that solitary yellow card of the game, so kind of tells you that it was a fairly clean game. And with that being said, with this, me, Rohit, and my co-commentator Junaid will be signing out. We'll see you again 3 days later, where India lock horns with Uzbekistan for a second friendly, hoping to avenge this defeat of theirs. For now, thank you everyone for joining in. Final scoreline, India 0, Uzbekistan 1. And there was a brilliant game of football that we all witnessed. Stay safe, stay happy.